Friendship is one of the most meaningful relationships that we experience, yet we often take it for granted. In this lecture, we're going to explore how communication creates, sustains, and sometimes challenges our friendships. We'll look at how friendships develop, what makes them different from acquaintances, some strategies for keeping them strong, and the benefits and challenges that come along with it. So what is friendship?
Oh my God, Alan, are you okay? Hey,
My girlfriend broke up with me.
I'm sorry, man.
My girlfriend broke up with me.
Stop being a baby.
Friendship is voluntary. It's personal relationships that we build on mutual trust, affection, and support. So unlike our families or workplace roles, friendship is chosen, and we maintain it through communication. By our shared experiences, offering empathy, and investing our time and effort into other people. You see, friendships are dynamic, and they change as people's lives, needs, and circumstances change. At the core, though, friendships provide us with a sense of belonging, connection, and care. A friend is someone you like, you trust, and who you enjoy spending time with. Cicero says that friendship improves happiness and abates misery by the doubling of our joy and the dividing of our grief, simply saying that friends bring us happiness and they are there to support us in times of need. Friendship is a voluntary interpersonal relationship characterized by intimacy and liking. Voluntary is the key word here. It requires both of you to want to be friends and to maintain that friendship. So at any point in time, either one of you could end that friendship. Friendships are also both delicate and deep. They help facilitate a sense of belonging when we're young. They help solidify our identities during adolescence, and they provide us social support and satisfaction when we're adults. Now, this is an important element of friendships because it highlights that friendship evolves in terms of how we utilize friendships in our own life over time. When we're very young kids, it helps shape how we see ourselves. Our self-confidence and our perception of the world is deeply tied to the sense of belonging that we get with having friendship. Oftentimes when you ask people to talk about the best friendships that they've ever had, those friendships occurred during their adolescence. My best friend in high school remains one of the most influential people that was in my life, even though we don't speak regularly anymore. And that was because when you're developing your sense of identity as a young adult, the people who are there in your life at that time, the people who make us feel seen, valued, respected, and loved, we're going to hold those people in higher esteem. And so friendships during adolescence, during this period of identity formation in our lives, really does serve an important aspect for us. And lastly, friendships help provide that social support and satisfaction when we're adults. And that just says that making friends looks a little bit different when we're adults. And that's for a few reasons. I always tell students that you will never have more opportunity to have interpersonal relationships than you do when you're a student. And that's because as college students, you're constantly in environments that naturally foster friendships. You're in classrooms, you're on sports teams, you're parts of clubs, you may be in a dorm. As adults, most people's social circles, they shrink to workplaces and our existing networks. So we're no longer in those same environments that have those built-in opportunities to find and make new friends. Our time and our priorities also change. So as adults, our life often revolves around work, our family, and the responsibilities that we have in life. Any free time that we have for casual hangouts or exploring new connections, well, that is a lot more limited than when you were younger and maybe you didn't have those same responsibilities or had to work like you do as an adult. So even when opportunities arise for us as adults, well, our energy is spent on obligations rather than cultivating new relationships. And many adults, we already have long-term friends or family networks. And so that can make it harder for people to want to break out of our established routines and seek out new friendships. We like patterns of stability, and it may just be simply easier for us to keep the friendship circles and family that we have. And the last thing that I'll highlight in terms of differences is that friendship is rooted in self-disclosure and trust. We're going to look at those things today. As adults, people, well, we're more guarded, honestly, because we're shaped by our past experiences of betrayal, of rejection, or simply just having an awareness that trust takes time to build. And so we're more cautious as adults, and that slows down the process of friendship formation that we're going to look at.
Let's talk about why making friends as an adult is so hard. There is a massive shift that happens in adult friendship when you hit 20, and no one sees this coming. See, the rules of friendship completely change when your 20s hit. So when you were little, all the conditions for meeting friends, creating friendships, having friends in your life, they were all handled for you. I mean, just think about life when you were a little kid. You were around people your age all the time. Your entire childhood set up the structures and conditions that made friendship possible. I mean, just think about it. When you went to school, you sat in classrooms with kids your age. On the weekends, you were playing town sports. You were riding the bus. You were constantly around kids who were the same age as you, going through the same things. And just think about it. You're learning the same subjects in school. You have the same schedule during the day. You are celebrating the same milestones. You're reaching 14, 15, 16. You're going to prom. You're going to homecoming. You're graduating. All of these things that were happening in your life where you were little, the play dates that your parents set up, the team dinners before the big games, all of these things created this environment where you just expected friendship to happen. You just expected that you'd be around people your age all the time because you were. That's why friendship was so easy when you were little. And then when you graduate from high school, what happens? Oh, you typically go on to college. You're now not just with people your age all the time. You're living with them. You're eating with them. You're going through the semesters with them, and you're on the same breaks during the summer. You're moving through life together. And so when you're little, not only are the conditions present for you to meet people your age, connect with people doing the same thing. You can relate to everybody because you're going through the same experiences. And so your childhood conditioned you because you live near your friends. You ride the bus with your friends. You're seeing your friends all the time to just expect that friendship would be easy. And because you were naturally as a kid in all these groups, whether it was a classroom or it was a team or it was a sorority or a fraternity or a dorm room floor, that you would just be expected to things. Because if the group is invited, then of course, if you're part of the group, then you're invited too. And that's why nobody sees the big change coming when your 20s hit. Your childhood trained you, just like it trained me, to expect friendship to be easy. It made you believe to expect that you'd always be invited, that there's always something going on, because there's always something going on in college. There's always something going on in high school. There's always something going on in your friend group, right? Right. But then something happens and none of us see it coming. And it happens when your 20s hit. And what is it that happens? Well, I call it the great scattering. All of a sudden, everybody graduates from college. And boom, they scatter in a million different directions. All of these people that you used to see every single day, that lived in the same place as you, that were on the same timeline as you, that celebrated the same milestones as you, they move and boom, scatter, which means the conditions and the structure for the friendships that you enjoyed and loved when you were little, gone. Everybody that you love is moving in different directions. They're on different timelines. They're doing different things. They move to different cities. And next thing you know, the only thing that is holding together that tight-knit group of people that you lived with during college is some text chain that slowly gets quieter and quieter and quieter, because people are naturally focusing on the lives that they're building and wherever they are and the people that are right in front of them. And that's when it hits. Right when you get into your 20s, is when the great scattering hits. And all of a sudden, you're like, where did all my friends go? Why am I not invited? And then you make a major mistake. Because you don't understand that there are conditions and rules around friendship, and those conditions were present when you were a kid and just served up to you and taken care of, you don't realize that friendship just went boom, from a group activity to an individual sport. And because you don't see it coming, I didn't see this coming, you then grip and you cling and you make it personal and you try to hold on to people. And then you think that you need to break up with people. That is not the rules of adult friendship.
I'm not going to lie. I wish I had heard that message a lot sooner in my adult life, because making friends sometimes is really hard as an adult. I'm going to link that full podcast in the supplemental learning module on D2L if you'd like to take a listen. As I said, there are benefits to friendship. Friendship doesn't just feel good, it is good for you. Research shows that strong friendships reduce our stress, it increases happiness, and research shows that it can even improve your physical health by boosting your immune system and lowering your blood pressure. You see, friends also expand our perspectives and they challenge our ways of thinking, and that's good for us. In college, friendships can improve academic success. They can make you a better student. They can provide networking opportunities. They can keep you accountable. And at the deepest level, friendships fulfill our basic need for belonging. So what you're looking at here, this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And Maslow was an American psychologist, and he developed this hierarchy of needs, which is a model that explains human motivation. What are the things that motivate us as individuals? Now, the hierarchy is often shown as a pyramid, and it has 5 levels. And you see it starts at the bottom with physiological needs, and it goes all the way up to self-actualization. What he theorized was that in order for us to become a self-actualized individual, that would be us operating at our very best. In order to reach that top of the pyramid, we have to have all of the elements below it satisfied. And that's why at the very bottom you see physiological needs. That's things like food, water, and sleep. Without those, you're not going to have any of the other elements above it. And we also need security. We need to feel stable in our lives. If those 2 conditions are met, then we can look at things like love and belonging. And this is where we have our friendships. This is where we have our romantic relationships, intimacy, family, a sense of community. And then you have esteem, and that's the respect, recognition, and achievement that we seek out in life. And lastly, we have self-actualization, which is where we reach our full potential. Now, why does this matter for friendship in terms of communication? Well, friendship belongs at that love and belonging level. So Maslow argued that until this need is met, people struggle to reach higher levels like self-esteem or personal growth. So if we apply that to friendships, it says that friendships aren't just extra things in our lives, that they are a core human need. We need friendships in order to become a self-actualized individual. So in Maslow's model, friendship isn't optional. It's one of the building blocks of a healthy, successful life. In terms of uniqueness of friends, no 2 friendships is going to look exactly the same. So your bond with a childhood friend, like I described earlier, that's going to feel very different from a friendship that I might have with a coworker or that you might have with a classmate. You see, some friendships last a lifetime, while others are more temporary, or they could be based on a specific context, like school, work, or even an online community. But even though friendships differ, research tells us that they usually share 5 common traits. They're voluntary, they're personal, they're equal, they involve mutual respect, and they provide emotional support. Now, an important element here to highlight is the differences between acquaintances and friends. You see, we interact with many people every day, but most people remain acquaintances to us. We simply don't have time to invest and build true friendships with everyone that we meet. So what makes a person rise to the level of a true friend? Well, it's self-disclosure. And self-disclosure is our willingness to share openly without fear of judgment. You see, friendship is reciprocal. The more you consider someone a friend, the more you share with them. And the more you share with them, the closer you feel to them. That cycle of openness and trust is what separates casual connections and acquaintances from true, meaningful friendships. So that takes us to social penetration theory, often called the onion theory, and it helps us understand how friendships deepen over time. Imagine a relationship like an onion. On the outer layers, we share surface-level facts, our names, where we're from, or what classes we're taking. As trust grows, we peel back more layers, revealing our likes and our dislikes, our opinions, and eventually our fears, our values, and our beliefs. The deepest layer, our core self, contains the things that we rarely share with anyone, except people that we trust the most. Friendships develop when both people gradually open up, moving from small talk to meaningful disclosure. And here's the key. It only works when the sharing goes both ways. That balance of openness and reciprocity is what transforms acquaintances into close friends. Now let's look at those 5 elements of friendship in a little bit more depth. We talked about friendships being voluntary, and this is a defining characteristic of friendship. You see, we choose our friends, but they also choose us, because we don't have to be friends with anyone that we don't want to be friends with, and they don't have to continue to maintain a friendship with us. And that voluntary aspect of friendship makes friendship special, because both of us are choosing to be part of that relationship by choice. And that speaks to the fact that we're generally drawn to friends that we see as similar to ourselves. And this is what we call attraction theory, that we are drawn to people who we see as similar in ourselves in terms of belief systems, values, etc. We're not going to want to invest or be friends with someone who sees the world in a completely different way than we do. We are drawn to people also who reciprocate the time and effort that we put into the relationship. That's called social exchange theory. So people who invest in us, we are more drawn to those people. So attraction theory suggests that we're naturally drawn to people who are similar to us. Most often we see the similarities show up in attitudes and values. For example, if 2 people share the same beliefs about politics, culture, or social issues, they're more likely to feel a stronger connection to each other than if they only agreed on something trivial, like which laundry detergent is best. This theory also says that attraction isn't only about ideas, it can be about appearance too. People tend to be drawn to other people that they see physically similar to themselves, and we often choose friends and partners who match us in attractiveness. Social exchange theory views relationships almost like a balance sheet. We constantly evaluate the rewards that we get, like trust, support, or companionship, against the cost, such as conflict, stress, or effort. When the rewards outweigh the cost, we're motivated to stay in the friendship. But if the costs become too high, well, we may start to distance ourselves from the other people, or end the friendship altogether. Most relationships involve some give and take, and they don't have to be perfectly equal. But what matters is that both people believe the benefits are worth the investment. Now, costs, those can be things that we see as negative, such as having to put money or time or effort into that relationship. For instance, if you have a friend that is always asking to borrow money from you or always expecting you to pick up the check when you go out to eat somewhere, well, that is going to be viewed as a negative. So the benefits that you get out of a relationship are going to be fun, friendship, companionship, social support, etc. Your friend might be a freeloader, but if they bring a whole lot of fun and excitement to your life, that might be worth the cost of the friendship. Now, this isn't a one-time process. We are constantly examining the costs versus the benefits of all of our relationships. A cost-benefit analysis does play a major role in the social exchange process, but so do our expectations. So as we weigh the benefits of a relationship against the cost of a relationship, we begin to establish a comparison level that is often influenced by social expectations and our past experiences. If you have always had poor friendships in the past, well, your comparison levels at the start of a new friendship or relationship are going to be lower than a person who has always had close-knit circle of friends who were supportive and caring. So we are gauging new relationships and new friendships based off of the relationships and the friendships that we've had in the past. We use that comparison to set our expectations for what we expect out of a new friend or a new relationship. Now, our friends are usually our peers, and that just means that they're a similar status to ourselves. Your professors, your boss, your parents, those aren't really your peers because those people can exert some measure of control over you, at least temporarily. When a friend exercises power over you, that would create conflict because it goes against the voluntary nature of the friendship. Friendships are often governed by rules. You see, there is this unspoken social contract to which both people agree in. By being someone's friend, we're acknowledging, at least implicitly, that we expect certain things from that person and that they can expect certain things from you. 6 rules. We stand up for our friends and we support them. We offer resources. We're enjoyable to be around. We provide help even without being asked. We share common interests and viewpoints in life. And that we want to be the kind of person with whom friends can share thoughts and secrets. Now, there are stages of friendship development. Friendships, like most relationships, well, they grow in stages. We start with initiating. That's that first hello, sitting next to someone in class or maybe following them on social media. Then we move into experimenting, where we test the waters through small talk and shared interest. If things click, well, the friendship can intensify. It may lead to trust, inside jokes, and more personal conversations. Over time, many friendships integrate into our daily lives. We start to develop routines together. Finally, some friendships reach the bonding stage, and the bonding stage is where there's just this deep sense of commitment. Now, not every friendship will reach that stage, but just know that each of the stages in a relationship play a role in how our relationships form and evolve. Now let's talk about communal friendships. These are the types of friendships that are built around sharing time and experiences together. The focus isn't on achieving a goal. It's really about the bond itself. So think about grabbing food with a friend, binge watching a TV show together, or just hanging out and talking. In these types of friendships, emotional support plays a big role. You're there to encourage each other, especially in tough times. But here's the key. The friendship lasts only if both people meet that expectation of support. If one person is always giving and the other person is always taking, well, that can throw the balance of the friendship off, and it may not endure over the long term. So in short, communal friendships thrive on being together, on sharing and supporting one another through life's ups and downs. In contrast, agentic friendships are a little bit different. These friendships are centered around shared tasks, goals, and activities that have a purpose. Think about a study buddy that you team up with to pass an exam, or a gym partner who helps hold you accountable, maybe even a coworker that we regularly collaborate with on projects. The bond comes from working together or helping each other achieve something. You're working towards a goal. So unlike communal friendships where emotional support is the focus, agentic friendships are more about practical help and mutual benefit. Now that doesn't mean that they can't be meaningful. Many of our close friendships start in this way. They start as agentic friendships and then transform over time through self-disclosure into communal friendships. So while communal friendships are about being together, agentic friendships are about accomplishing a goal. Now, an important aspect of this is time. If you have an agentic friendship where you've got a buddy that helps you work on your car and you help him work on his, and he sends you a text, he says, "Hey bro, what are you doing? I need help putting a lift kit on my Ford F-150 this weekend." You will make time to help that friend only if you have nothing else going on. So if you already have plans, you're not going to cancel those plans to help them because the friendship is goal-driven. It is not communal. Whereas if you have a friend who calls, a communal friend, and they says, I'm having a really bad day, I need to talk to someone, you're not going to say, "Oh, I don't have time." So that's the key element there. You will make time for your communal friends, whereas your agentic friendships, those relationships will only exist if you both have time and you're available to help with whatever goal or task you need assistance with. So when we look at these two types of friendships side by side, the difference becomes pretty clear. Communal friendships thrive on emotional connection, while agentic friendships thrive on practical help. Both types are important, and many of our closest friendships include a mix of the two. For example, a classmate might start out as an agentic friend, someone you study with, but over time, that relationship may grow into a communal friendship as you begin hanging out, sharing stories, and offering support beyond the classroom. Understanding these categories helps us see how communication shapes the way our friendships develop, shift, and sometimes even fade. If we were in a face-to-face classroom, the conversation around this would be quite interesting. Research suggests that both men and women value opposite-sex friendships as a chance to see things from each other's perspectives. It can provide opportunities for men to be emotionally expressive and for women to enjoy shared activities that don't exist within their same-sex friendships. Now remember, though, that attraction theory suggests that many opposite-sex friends feel some degree of physical or romantic attraction towards each other because we seek out friends that we view as similar in attractiveness, physical attractiveness of ourselves. And they can communicate that in ways that can sometimes resemble romantic relationships, such as flirting and sharing sexual humor, which is why it is always an interesting conversation. Because if you were to ask someone, can someone have opposite-sex friends? The answer is going to depend, and it is going to depend entirely on whether or not you are in a relationship. Because if you're in an existing relationship, the chances are your significant other is going to have this thought or image in their head. Now, this is a funny picture. It is not necessarily indicative or true of anything that could happen in your day-to-day lives. But in people's head, they think, oh, well, if I let them hang out with someone of the opposite sex, then this must be what is going to happen. And so you will see that People who are in romantic relationships with someone else have less opposite-sex friendships than people who don't, because it can impact your romantic relationship and can create trust or intimacy issues. And it is really sad because the research does say that men and women do value different aspects of their friendships. So women tend to place a greater emphasis on conversational and emotional expressiveness, whereas men tend to place greater emphasis on shared activities and interest. Now, these are just averages. They don't characterize all friendships. Some men do share personal conversations with their male friends, and some women's friendships do focus more on shared activities and conversation. But generally speaking, these do hold true when you look at friendships. Guys tend to do guy things, which focus on activities and sports and things like that, and women tend to place that greater emphasis on conversational and emotional expressiveness. So if you had opposite sex friends, well, women make men a little softer in terms of giving us the ability to talk about emotional things that we're not going to talk about with our bro while we're watching a football game. And yes, we can't talk about friends without talking about friends with benefit. A friend with benefits relationship is when two friends engage in some form of sexual activity without being in a committed romantic relationship. Now, research shows that around 60% of college students report having had this type of arrangement at some point. And friend with benefit arrangements can offer companionship and physical intimacy, but they also come with some challenges. There is a risk of miscommunication about the expectations of your relationship. Situationship. Possible emotional attachment can occur when one person wants more out of that situation, and it can potentially strain or end the underlying friendship because we tend to avoid talking about problems explicitly when it comes to the status of a relationship. So research suggests sexual activity changes the fundamental nature of a relationship from platonic to romantic, essentially meaning if you want your underlying friendship to endure, then you probably shouldn't have a friends with benefits type of arrangement with someone. We try to avoid such problems by not talking explicitly about the status of your relationship, and that can lead to things like the following video.
Steve and Jesse. Hey, Steve. How are you? Hey, Jesse. I love your outfits. Now, is this prom circa the 70s or early 80s?
We drove here in a 1974 bus, Volkswagen bus.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, how long have you guys been together?
About 6 months.
That's it? It's new. Oh, it's newish.
We're friends. We're just friends, but he wants it.
Can we talk about this not in front of everyone, Jesse?
I'm single.
It's complicated.
I'm single, guys. I'm single.
What?
Oh, no. We're really good friends.
Now you can pause the lecture here and review this week's lecture participation prompts. Friendships do have lifespans. Not every friendship will last a lifetime, and that sounds sad to say, but again, we simply don't have time to maintain and sustain friendships over time, and it is okay. While friendships do bring us a lot of joy, they also face barriers, life transitions like moving, getting a new job, or starting a family. Well, these can change how much time and energy friends have for each other. Distance also makes it harder to stay close without consistent effort. So miscommunication, one-sided investments, or unresolved conflict can also erode our trust. Some friendships simply drift apart over time without any conflict, while other relationships may turn toxic through manipulation or negativity. Understanding these barriers helps us recognize when to repair a friendship or when it may just be healthier for us to let one go. Of course, not all friendships are smooth sailing. Miscommunication is a big one. Think about how a text like K can come across as harsh when it may not be intended that way. Conflict, jealousy, or betrayal can also strain our friendships. Today, we also have ghosting, right, where one person simply cuts off contact, and that can be a common challenge, especially online. Friendships are also tested by life transitions, like I said, moving away for college or starting a new job. That can test a friendship. On top of that, all friendships also deal with dialectical tensions, meaning that we want independence as a person in our own lives, but we also seek out connection with others. So how we balance that can impact our friendships. How we balance openness through self-disclosure with a need for privacy also can impact our friendships. And sometimes we like new things, but we also appreciate and value predictability. Healthy friendships navigate these tensions through honest and respectful communication. So although two people initially became friends because of their perceived similarities, you can learn more stuff about people and just realize that this isn't the type of person that you want to be friends with. Or maybe they go through something in life that changes who they are or how they interact with other people, and they become negative, or they constantly criticize you, they betray your trust, they behave in a hostile or physically violent way around you. Maybe they begin abusing drugs or alcohol, or they fail to provide help or support when you need it most. They could become intolerant of your new romantic partner or other friends that you have in your life. All of those things can lead to the dissolution of a friendship. But let's talk about some positive strategies to maintain our friendships. We should practice positivity, openness, assurances, shared activities, and humor. We should provide them encouragement, have honest conversations about our needs and our concerns, give verbal reminders of our loyalty. Hey, I got your back. Share activities with each other. When you study together, when you watch sports, when you game, when you hang out, those are things that are going to continue to bond you together. The absence of those things is going to lead to distance in your friendship. So here's how to become a better friend. Friendship takes work, but the payoff is worth it. It's rewarding. Being a better friend often comes down to simple yet intentional actions. Be present and truly listen when your friend needs to talk. Communicate honestly, but with respect. Show empathy by trying to understand their feelings, not just offer words. Offer support in both good times and in bad. And respect their boundaries when they need space. Make time for them. Even small gestures like sending a quick check-in text can go a long way. And don't forget to practice gratitude. Let your friends know you value and appreciate them. These small steps build trust, strengthen bonds, and make you the kind of friend that other people can count on. See this quote here by me. Most friendships don't end with a fight. They end with silence, with two people who slowly stop reaching out. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a challenge. Think about a friend you've lost touch with, or someone you've been meaning to reconnect with. Remember that friendships don't usually end with a big fight. More often, they just fade because we stop talking. So use this lecture as an opportunity to reach out. Send a quick text, set up a call, or make plans to hang out. Remember, communication is what builds friendships, and it's also what keeps them alive. One small effort on your part could be the start of rebuilding a connection that really matters to you. In today's lecture, we explored how friendships are formed, maintained, and sometimes challenged. We looked at communal versus agentic friendships, the stages of friendship development, strategies to keep relationships strong, barriers to sustaining them, and the many benefits that friends bring to our lives. As you think about your own friendships, ask yourself, what kind of communicator do you want to be as a friend? How can you use communication to strengthen the connections that matter most to you?